I left. I was out for 4 years, and I got a little surprise in the mail. This was Valentine's Day of 2003.
Okay.
And it was a letter from our commander-in-chief, and it said, "Welcome back. You got 2 weeks to report."
All right. Sandy Cerami coming to you live from the 6-inch studio. We are at Bacardi Grill over in Washington Township, New Jersey, with our incomparable hosts, John, Alexa, and Lisa Amaratis, all right, the matriarch. Place is packed as always. And I want to give a quick shout out because Bacardi Grill is celebrating 25 years here in Washington Township. Amazing crew. We've got an amazing staff. Linda and Matt keeping us well hydrated today. Javier as well doing a great job. But I'm here to talk to you on the 6th today about a guy who I think you need to know, especially if you're a business owner these days. I'm here with my good friend, Mr. Chris Lopez. Welcome to the 6th, buddy.
Great to be here.
Good to have you. And Chris is a retired major out of the U.S. Navy. He is also a graduate of the Naval Academy. One of the cool things that I love about you is that you walked on to the baseball team at the Naval Academy.
I did.
And you ended up the captain of the team your senior year, which I think is tremendous. We'll talk a little bit about that. He's an entrepreneur, so he's a very unique guy. I kid around with him because I say he's like the blend between Mr. Rogers, because he's a caring and compassionate guy, and Wolverine, all right, the superhero, because of the way he attacks challenges in his business and for his clients. He's very successful. He's built and sold a business previously. He's just started a brand new business, which we'll talk about as well. But on the 6th, the first thing we like to talk about is the person, the man behind the business. We want to talk a little bit about Chris growing up. What was it like growing up, Chris Lopez?
Oh, thanks, Andy. You know, I grew up here in New Jersey, Hillsdale guy. Mm-hmm. The youngest of 5. I came actually via Tokyo, Japan. I was born in Tokyo. We came back to the States in 1973.
Okay.
And you know, I still remember in grade school, you know, kids talking about, "Hey, man, you were born in Japan. You must be Japanese."
Right.
I remember arguing about that stuff.
Right.
You know, my mom said, "No, that's not true. You're Irish and Puerto Rican," which just made it more complicated.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, that made the conversation just a little bit more difficult.
So the typical question I get is, you know, how did you get the last name Lopez? And so, yeah, I'm Irish, Puerto Rican, but grew up in Hillsdale.
Well, you're Irish here. I could see Irish
Absolutely.
here for sure.
Absolutely, 100%. And then, you know, we moved out of Hillsdale roughly when I was in 7th, 8th grade. We moved to Oakland, New Jersey, and that's really where I had my roots.
Okay.
So I spent a lot of time growing up
You're
in
back
Oakland.
there today, right?
We did. We moved back.
Yeah, good.
After close to 25 years.
You can come home again, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Be closer to family. So I played ball growing up. You know, played some sports, played football, baseball, typical childhood.
Okay.
You know, so life was good.
What were you like as a student in high school?
Oh, you know, when I became really focused on what my objective was, I was just talking to a good friend of mine about this the other day. I really wanted to attend the service academy.
Okay.
I decided
What sparked that in you?
A football game.
Wow. On the Navy?
No, Air Force West Point.
Wow. Okay.
So I had a friend take me up there with his family to go see a game at West Point, and I fell in love.
Yeah.
I could see myself.
It's a magnificent setting. I've been up there with my
is.
kids, and it's amazing.
It really is. And then when I decided that's the path I wanted to take, I think it was my dad who said, "There's no way you'll get in." So that's all I needed to hear.
Yeah. Just tell me I can't do it, right? That's a lesson for all you kids out there. The minute they tell you can't do it, that's the time to do it.
Yeah. I laugh about that stuff with my wife today, but that's the truth. And so I realized that I needed to really get reoriented in terms of the academics especially. Okay. So I had a lot of focus, especially my junior, senior year. So junior, senior year, I think I had straight A's. I took a lot of AP classes. I brought on a lot of pain. That's what I did. But thankfully I got through the gauntlet. And I ultimately decided, you know, I had some delusions about playing football at West Point.
I like it.
I got a call from the coach, I think it was early senior year. And, you know, you don't have that perspective until you're much older. You realize, you're not a Division I football player.
Hindsight is 20/20, my man. Remember that, yes.
Absolutely. But it was nice getting those calls. And, you know, at the end of the day, I had to choose between West Point and the Naval Academy, and I went the Annapolis route. And I'm glad because does. And there's one thing I got to mention. That you mentioned retired Navy. I was actually not retired. I was a Marine.
Oh, you're a Marine.
That's
okay,
right.
there you
That's
go.
right.
We got to clarify that. There's a difference.
That's okay.
Every Marine will tell you it's a difference. No question about it. It's a Semper Fi, right?
That's right. That's right.
What was it that attracted you to the Naval Academy versus West Point?
It was a few things. You know, when I was making those comparisons between both institutions, one of my close friends had a brother in Annapolis.
Okay.
And Chris said to me, you know, before you make that decision, you need to come visit me. So I did. And I fell in love with the town. I fell in love with the city, campus. And I got to engage with a lot of midshipmen.
Right.
I didn't have that experience with West Point. So I started to lean a lot heavier towards going to the Annapolis.
I think a lot of people, when faced with a situation where they've got to make a decision, when you have some level of familiarity and comfort, it makes it a little bit easier to make a decision in that direction.
A lot easier. And I'm so glad, because if I hadn't made that decision, I would have never become a United States Marine.
Right.
So I look back now and wow, somebody guided me down that path.
Yeah, again, hindsight being 20/20, but these decisions that we make in our life lead us down a path, and I think there's always that meant to be aspect of it too. You were meant to be a Marine. That was the path you were meant to take, and so kudos for you having the guts to do it.
Right.
Talk to me about what it was like walking onto the campus for the first time. Like day one. Bring us to day one at the Naval Academy.
Oh, wow. Sandy, hair on fire, high stress, meant to be high stress.
Yes.
Meant to shake you.
Very exclusionary, right? They want to find out if you've got what it takes to stick it out there for 4 years.
They do. They get you in line from day one.
Yeah, and I think that's a great lesson for people in business. You know, when you talk about bringing new people into an organization, you know, getting to know whether or not they're going to be a long-term fit early on is a good thing, not a bad thing. You know, I see a lot of business owners don't take that approach. It's more of let's sell them on the opportunity versus let's make sure they're the right fit for us. And so, talk to me about your first month or so. You know, you made it through the first day. How did you get it through each day? Because I'm sure there had to be times when you felt like you wanted to give up or give in.
I think a lot of it, Sandy, is the shared pain. When you're going through it with a group and you become pretty tight-knit, and you lean on each other and all that support you give each other,
no question,
goes a long way. But I think every one of us probably wondered in that first night or first week, what the heck am I doing here? You know,
a little sleepless that first night, huh?
just a little bit.
Yeah, no doubt.
But I think you know, losing the mullet was a big deal.
Absolutely. I sported one of those.
Yeah,
no question, no question. The haircut, you know, first thing, let's get to the barber shop, no doubt.
There was 88. Mullets were big here.
I had one, my man. I had the bad haircut. Yeah, no doubt. I remember walking onto the showroom floor at our dealership, and my dad saying the first thing that's got to go is the hair touching the collar. Like, that's not going to happen over here. But you know, I think it's all part of the discipline, and they kind of take you away from yourself so that they can rebuild you in the form and fashion that's befitting the Naval Academy. Let's talk a little bit about baseball. Talk to me in terms of, did you know right away that you wanted to play at the Academy?
I knew I was going to try out.
Okay.
I knew I wanted to play.
Right.
I think I went into it with very reasonable expectations. I was going to give it my best shot.
Right.
And,
you told me a great story, by the way, about the tryouts.
Oh, yeah. When we were warming up? So we were warming up. There must have been about 100 plebes, so freshmen.
Okay.
And we're warming up on the side, and Coach Joe Duff, the legendary coach at Navy, walks up and he says, "Son, who taught you how to throw?" And I said, "My dad did, sir." He goes, "Who's your dad?" I told him who he was. He said, "Well, he taught you well." And I knew that I had something going for me at that moment.
Well, let's not lose the point. Like, in other words, you threw like a 300-foot laser beam strike to home plate from center field, right? I mean, that's what got their attention.
Right.
And so you have a chance to walk on. You make the team.
Right. Made the team.
And talk to me about the composition of the team at that point. Was it upperclassmen led? Were there not too many walk-ons that made it?
Yeah, it was pretty heavy on the upperclassmen.
Okay.
I started in left field.
Okay.
And I'll never forget to this day, Sandy, the only time I've ever found myself shaking in a batter's box was the first game I ever played.
Why?
Batted me leadoff.
Wow.
And it never, maybe with the exception of one game in high school, batted leadoff. And so I'm in the batter's box. And there's a guy in that mound that looks about 6'7",
right?
Probably 21, 22 years old.
Right.
I'm a punk 17-year-old kid.
Sure.
And he's throwing gas, and I will tell you, he threw one pitch, and I roped up the middle, and my eyes were closed.
That's amazing. Isn't that amazing? Yeah, but it gave you confidence.
It gave me a lot
correct?
of confidence.
It's amazing that 6-inch space that we talk about all the time. You know, that little piece of confidence right there helps you build a career, right?
Absolutely.
What type of a program was it at that time? Was it a winning program?
Yeah, they had a really good season the year before. It was very competitive. I think our shortstop was on the list of honorable mention All-America.
Okay.
Yeah, so we had some really, really good ball players. In fact, one of our pitchers was drafted out of high school, and he chose to attend the Naval Academy and be a football and baseball player. So we had some pretty good talent on the field.
Yeah.
I certainly didn't include myself in that mix, but I worked hard.
You made it. You made it onto the field, which is amazing.
Right.
And so what I'm really intrigued by was over the course of your 4 years, you went from a walk-on who was just going to try out for the team to the captain of the team, correct?
I did.
Can you talk a little bit about how that happened, how that unfolded?
Yeah, I think I stayed the course in terms of focus, which was not easy. You know, balancing the academics and athletics at the service academy is just incredibly difficult.
It's a step above even just a regular Division I experience.
It is, and I wasn't afraid to ask for help. I mean, it was not uncommon for me to, be going to what we called extra instruction.
Yes.
So I might go from baseball practice to extra instruction in electrical engineering.
Right.
Or physics or chemistry, whatever the task would be.
What was your concentration academically at that point?
Everybody undergoes an engineering core curriculum.
Okay.
But my major was political science. I started out as a naval architect, and I realized there's no way I'm going to get through this and play baseball.
Right. Yeah. Usually, and architecture is usually a 5-year degree, right?
Right.
And so understood.
Right.
Understood. Talk to me about becoming captain. Coach taps you on the shoulder one day.
I did. It was a vote. Coach let us know, and one of the greatest honors of my life to be wearing that Navy midshipman uniform, playing baseball, and representing as a team captain.
I have chills right now thinking about that. Yeah.
Certainly unexpected when I went there.
Your teammates voted you as the captain. Wow, that is such high praise. That's not being handpicked by the coaches on the team. That's your peers, and I love that aspect of it. Coach delivers the news. Tell me about that conversation.
I definitely felt the pressure.
Yeah, a little bit.
We got past the announcement pretty quickly.
Right.
Let's get down to business.
Yeah.
Here's your role.
What was his relative experience that he shared with you, like in terms of how to prepare you for the role?
I think probably the greatest thing he says, don't change a thing.
Wow.
Don't change a thing.
Be you. Be authentic. Be Chris.
Be you. Be authentic. Same in business, right? Be you.
Such a great lesson for our audience right now, and we talk about being authentic and being yourself all the time. And there was something about when we first met, I read people pretty quickly, and I think you do the same thing. I knew right away when I met you that you were a genuine person. And that's a lesson for our audience, is that being yourself is going to carry you so much further and so much faster than trying to fake it until you make it, so to speak. So kudos for you. What was your senior season like?
Senior season was pretty stressful.
Yeah.
Pretty stressful, because I think you can have the tendency to overthink things a little bit.
Right.
And it started to become more about being the team captain and leading than focusing on baseball.
Right.
But it worked out just fine. I was surprised going into my senior year, though, because Coach asked me to move to first base. So one position I never played in my life.
Okay.
Our first baseman tore up his arm.
Okay.
And the coach was great in the fall season. He said, hey, I think you can make the switch. I think you can do it.
That's a real vote of confidence.
I said, Coach, if you can stand it, I can stand it.
Right, exactly. If you can take the pain, I can take the pain, no doubt it.
Coach Duff chocolate said, we'll get you up to speed. The beauty of it, though, is our fall season, he brought in, this is crazy, he brought in Jim Spencer, former New York Yankee.
Yes, oh my God, yeah.
Jim Spencer was one of my favorites growing up. Jim Spencer hit a home run the first Yankee game I ever went to. So he shows up one day, and Coach Duff says, Chris, I want you to meet Mr. Spencer. And I looked at him and went, oh my Lord.
Yeah.
My first game, he hit a home run.
Yeah, no, listen, I remember Jim Spencer well. Those are the heydays, as a Yankee fan.
Yeah, so I spent my whole fall season being taught how to play first base by Jim Spencer.
You get to learn at the knee of the master, right? You get to learn at the knee of the master.
Right.
I don't want to say lucky. I want to say that you earned that opportunity, right? Because A, you get voted by your peers to be captain. B, coach says, we've got a hole to fill. We got somebody that's injured. somebody tore up their shoulder, we're going to need you to make an adjustment or a change.
Right.
I think a great lesson for you for later on in your life as well, having the ability to make a change on the fly when you have to.
Right.
And I think that, that was almost like a gift from the man above. Says if he's going to make the change willingly, we're going to give him somebody that can tutor him effectively.
Right.
I'm assuming that at that point in time, you're also prepping for life after the Naval Academy.
Very
Talk
true.
to us a little bit about some of the decisions you had to make your senior year at the Naval Academy.
It was easy for me. I don't think it was as easy for a lot of the fellow midshipmen and friends of mine because I knew from literally the first month I wanted to be a Marine.
Okay.
I didn't know that going in.
Wow.
A lot of my friends had family that was in the Navy or the Marine Corps.
Okay.
For me, I realized that the first 30 days, we had an assistant company officer, and it's just so random, Sandy. We had an assistant company officer who was a Marine, Second Lieutenant DeBondi was his name. And it was as simple as, I want to be like that guy.
Wow.
I like the way he...
You identify with how he carried himself?
The way he carried himself.
Yeah.
A lot of confidence and a lot of insight. And so I stayed that route all 4 years, never wavered.
Okay.
So it was an easy decision for me.
Yeah, no, I love that. I mean, I love that, we talk about behavior modeling all the time. We talk about from a parental perspective, from a leadership perspective. You identified something in him as a leader that you wanted to emulate ultimately in your life. And you did a good job, by the way, my friend. I'll give you a fist bump on it because even the first time I met you, I felt that about you, immediately. I didn't know you had a military background, but the way you carried yourself made an impression upon me. When you made the decision to go Marine, what kind of things awaited you post-graduation? Like, what was the next step after the Naval Academy?
The next step in the Marine Corps is a bit unique because every second lieutenant starts out in the same place.
Okay.
So you all start out in Quantico, Virginia. Mm-hmm. Everybody goes through the basic school. Whether you're flying aircraft or going to be an artillery officer like me, we all start in the same place. And it's all about learning to become a rifleman, learning how to be a leader in the Marine Corps, because that's going to be your responsibility after you leave is leading Marines.
Sure.
That's a big deal to us.
Yeah, so especially in conflict, it's next man up, right?
Absolutely.
So everybody's got to be prepared to assume a leadership role, regardless of where you are, going into battle.
Right.
You could be next man up, right?
No doubt.
Yeah.
So 6 months in Quantico, then left and went to artillery school in Oklahoma, and then went out to my first unit camp on the California 2nd Battalion 11th Marines.
Wow.
So I started out as a young lieutenant in a battery of, let's call it, 8 officers.
Okay.
A lot of great mentors along the way. I've been really fortunate, Sandy. I'm one of those guys that in my whole life, I can tell you I've had one bad boss.
Okay.
So many great mentors who, gave me the ability to kind of do my thing.
It shapes you.
It does. It shapes you. It shapes you. And you also want to pass it on when you're in that role.
Well, that to me is the mark of genuine leadership. Somebody that wants to impart their experience onto the next generation, if you will, or the folks that are going to be coming up behind. And that speaks right to the whole philosophy of the Marine Corps. I say next man up. I've never served. Right. I don't know if they'd have a role for me in the military. I can promise you. I'd be like Klinger. Section 9.
You do great.
I don't know about that. You got to do a lot of sit-ups, bro. I don't know if I can handle the sit-ups. That might be the challenge. But
a little bit of running.
Yeah, a little bit of running. Running I can handle. I waddle all the time around Wyckoff. But digress for a second. When you go to Quantico and you're going in for your first day as a Marine, was it a flashback to your first day on the Naval Academy times 10 or 100?
It absolutely was, but certainly more confidence.
Right.
Been here before.
Been there and done it.
Yeah.
Was it more rigorous?
It was absolutely more rigorous.
More rigorous mentally, physically,
peer to
or both?
Peer to peer.
Okay. So now the best of the best are now coming into the Marines at that point. So it's escalated the level of talent around you. Ultimately, great preparation for life. I mean, just tremendous.
They're moving you into leadership positions. You're being evaluated by your peers.
Tested
Nothing
constantly,
harder
right?
than being evaluated by your peers.
Constantly tested.
Constantly
I love that about it.
Yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about your military career post graduation. You got yourself settled into the Marines.
I did, and I spent most of my career, actually all of my career on the West Coast. So I started out at Camp Holland, California, the major Marine base there, with the 11th Marines, and then I received orders to the Marine Corps Recruit Depot in San Diego. So
not a bad place to call home.
Boot camp. So I was a company officer down there. I left. I was out for 4 years, and I got a little surprise in the mail This was Valentine's Day of 2003.
Okay.
And it was a letter from our commander-in-chief, and it said, "Welcome back. You got 2 weeks to report."
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I was in what's called, Sandy, the Individual Ready Reserve, the IRR. It's essentially, hey, break glass in time of emergency. So
Gotcha.
they pulled me out of mothballs. I couldn't understand why, but they did. And so I came back in. I had 2 weeks to turn over my clients. I was in a recruiting business at that time.
Wow.
2 weeks to turn over. My wife was the one who told me, "Hey, you got a letter, at the post office you need to go pick up."
When you break the news to her, what's her response?
It was good, Sandy.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It was not good.
It was like, what?
And especially, that's coming off the heels of me saying, we're fine.
Right. Exactly. We're good. I'm not going back in.
Yeah.
An adjustment. You married the right lady, obviously, because even though it's a surprise, still together, right?
Absolutely.
So I mean, we all have to make adjustments, and when you with the right person, even though it's a shock for you, a shock for her, you get through it together.
You get through it together.
Right.
Absolutely.
Tell me a little bit about what it was like being on IRR. What adjustment did you have to make from a professional perspective? Obviously, you turn your client base over.
Right.
What else?
Well, I think after I read the letter to Wendy, I threw on some shorts and a T-shirt and went for a long run because I needed to report back in shape.
Yeah, no question.
We Marines take a little pride in being in shape.
A little bit, just a little bit. That's why I say it'd be tough for me. Yeah. I can waddle. I don't know about the run piece of it.
Right.
But and Wendy, by the way, kudos to you, giving you a big foot stomp and amen.
Yeah.
Where did you take it?
Back in, I showed up at Camp Pendleton again, and they tapped me to be. The title was Combat Replacement Company Commander. Now, if you say that enough times, you start to get the feeling of what that's all about.
Commander. Okay.
And so the long story short, they had run some casualty models at the Pentagon, saying that we were going to take X amount of casualties when we went back into Iraq.
Okay.
And so I was bench strength.
Wow.
So I had 180 Marines under my charge. We went through all types of tactics and weapons training all over again for probably 2 months, maybe a little bit less. And right when we were about to deploy was right around the time that, if you recall, we were pulling down the statue of Saddam Hussein and saying it was over.
Yes. That was some time.
Yeah.
Talk to me about your abilities at that point. Is it like riding a bike, going back in and shooting and target practice, et cetera, or is it, take some time to get back up to speed?
It's really interesting you ask that. I always said, Sandy, when I went back in, having the perspective of a civilian, which I never had.
Right.
I left the Naval Academy, went right into the service. Mm-hmm. So being out for 4 years and being in business, I actually felt like I was a much stronger leader coming back in.
Right.
It's a lot more sensible. I think I was a lot more patient. Sure. I think my communication with Marines was a lot different than pounding the floor and stomping the table. So I think, the level of leadership that I brought back to the table at that point, after being out for 4 years, was much better than even when I left.
Yeah, listen, I mean, you had to communicate differently in the business world.
Right.
What parallels did you see between the business world and the Marines at that point?
Inefficiencies. I saw a lot more inefficiencies in the Marine Corps.
And how do you address that? I know it's different in the military. How do you address that going back in? How do you get the corrections necessary?
Very diplomatically.
No doubt about it.
I absolutely felt, though, that I could negotiate a lot better with my seniors than I did the first time around.
Right.
Even though I had a great career, 7 years, and did my thing, I felt like I could get through much better than I used to.
Right. Yeah, and that comes with seasoning and experience.
Right.
As we come into the next segment, I want to talk a little bit about getting back into the business world.
Right.
I want to talk about the business that you built and successfully sold, and then talk about the business that you have today that you're in the process of building and what you're most excited about.
Sounds good.
All right, we'll be back in just a couple of minutes on the 6.